Hello folks, how's it going? Welcome to another One Piece review. This time we're covering manga chapter 1126. And interestingly enough, Oda followed the same blueprint as the previous chapter where wrap up things on Egghead Island while making our way to Elbaf. We do the same thing in this chapter, only this case Elbaf, and we haven't reached there yet. But Oda does take this opportunity to actually clarify a few things that's happening off Elbaf, and it's, in my opinion, just like in the previous chapter, setting things up what's to come either during Elbaf or post Elbaf. We don't really know, but Oda did follow the same blueprint in the previous chapter, so that was interesting. And already the crew is separated. I know, shocker, right? It didn't last. They haven't even touched down on Elbaf and they're already separated, but we'll get into that. And I didn't mind it because we don't know where this is going, honestly. Speaking of which, on the cover story with Yamato, we're back at it again with Yamato's grand tour of Wano, only this time she's at the soba store, and apparently it's become a problem that this kidnapper who was after a Kunoichi, I guess 2 cover pages ago, that Yamato rescued, we saw this individual run off. Again, I don't know where this is going really. It just seems like a sub-quest for Yamato more than anything else, but it is focusing on Yamato, so I can't complain too much. It's what we've been asking for. So this chapter really starts off right in the thick of things with a banquet involving Luffy, finding out about what happened with Omio and Kashi since they actually were on Water 7. I find it interesting though that Usopp was the one that befriended these two back on Enies Lobby / Water 7. So they're telling Luffy this, who barely knows them. But so after they left Water 7, they went to Little Garden to meet up with their Tenshos respectively, Dory and Bragi. Now apparently Dory and Bragi, they went apparently to Egghead Island to get some weapons so they can continue fighting, which is kind of doesn't that go against the code of fighting on their own? But either way, Nami, who hears this, is done with this, completely done, and she just drinks, she downs the alcohol and she walks off. I'm going to get back to that because we can't kind of get a name for that alcohol, and when I saw that I'm like, whoa, okay. And I'm kind of the same reaction as Nami, to be honest with you. It's yeah, this is kind of the pointless then. We also get a time frame of when they set off from Egghead Island to go off to Elbaf, so I appreciate that as well. So getting back to the alcohol, one of the giants, well, I guess Sanji is saying, oh, this is some strong alcohol, this is some strong booze, and one of the giants is responding, yeah, it's called absinthe. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding, because that's an alcohol and it's meant for shot consumptions. It's not meant for huge barrels of drinking. It's not meant for barrels of drinking, but I guess compared to the giants it would be considered a shot. But so it's called the Green Fairy. So if you don't know, absinthe is a very strong alcohol, to say the least. I can tell you from experience, I've had black absinthe before. It is not weak, strong is putting it mildly from Sanji. So, and the giant does go on to say something else about the alcohol, which I'll get back to because it could tie into what happens with the ending of this chapter. Now, it's interestingly enough, they do have a party scene, and Nami's included, but that's the last we see of her until the end of this chapter. So that was kind of interesting. Then we got an underrated moment of this chapter, a very warm-hearted moment involving Bonnie and Kuma outside the ship, looking on at the horizon. And if you remember back during Kuma's backstory, he did say to Bonnie as a child, one day we'll reunite on the seas and look at the horizon together. And here we are. So I just thought that was kind of cool. Now, the thing is, Kuma is smiling here, but I've said before, his expressions seem on impulse, not just I don't know if he's in full control. That really hasn't been explained yet, but the fact that he's smiling adds to the moment. Obviously, Bonnie's laughing this up, and it's really refreshing to see, because throughout most of Egghead Island, she's been terrorized throughout Egghead Island through what happened during what she saw of Kuma's memories. Obviously, everything before then, believing Vegapunk was the one that killed Kuma. Everything that happened after that involving Saturn. So you really got a feel for Bonnie in this moment, finally being with her father. seeing the horizon. So I just thought it was a cool moment. A moment that's going to get overlooked because obviously there's a lot that went down in this chapter, but I appreciate this moment. We go from there and we cut back to another incident that happened over a month ago. Now this involving Shanks and the Barto Club, involving Bartolomeo, a member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Now Oda brought this back to when, and we actually get panels here of when Bartolomeo was going around in cities belonging to Shanks' territory, burning down his Jolly Roger. We don't know which city that was, but we saw it during the cover story. It was expanded upon, I believe, in the chapter and then in the anime when Shanks arrived at Wano, towards the climax of Wano. And they did mention Bartolomeo going around burning flags in Shanks' territory, and that's absolute no-no because Shanks is a Yonko. You can't do that, which obviously there's ramifications for Bartolomeo for doing this. We see the two ships passing by, and then we see Shanks. We see Bartolomeo kneeling down before Shanks because they're toast at this point. Because Bartolomeo is like apologizing, and Shanks is like, I can't let this slide because people will just lose faith in my flag if my friends and allies in my territory will become targets because of this. So yeah, I like this moment for two reasons. One, I like the resolve of Bartolomeo. Number two, there's consequences for your actions. You can't just go around pulling pranks like that, pulling stunts like this. And even Bartolomeo was like, yeah, this was a bad idea from the get-go. Then he gets the ultimatum. He gets a bottle of poison. He's like, see to it that Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy, takes this within a month. It causes intense pain and they automatically die. We could overlook this if you get Luffy to drink this. And Bartolomeo, no hesitation, downs it himself because he's like, nope, hell no, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting Luffy Senpai involved in this because it was my mistake. And it's at this point you kind of knew where this was going, but it is really cool. And there is consequences for Bartolomeo's actions. This happens after this, which I'll get into. You can kind of see Shanks wavering a little bit. You see it in his eye. You definitely see it later on when he's smiling ear to ear. They immediately depart and he just burps. Like, oh, it's not poison after all. So it seems like the Barto Club has been off the hook. And Bartolomeo, oh wow, they just let us go on. They were meant to be ruthless, but they're kind of like softer than I was expecting. Yasopp's like, Ben Beckman and Shanks, hold my beer, because we got to see, we kind of know Ben Beckman got a chance to shine against Kid. We got to see Shanks definitely shine against Kid. But this time it's Yasopp. Now, you can take this one of two ways. Like I said, there's consequences for Bartolomeo's actions. Like, you can't just go around burning flags of an emperor, especially Shanks. Like, imagine if that was Kaido. So Yasopp's like, we still gotta teach him a lesson. So he snipes down the ship, and it seems like they got sunken into the ocean. Boy, does that seem familiar or what? Considering we've seen that already. It was kind of confusing why Yasopp decided to take the initiative to take the shot. Like, oh, he felt the need to do this, even though it wasn't Shanks' call. The thing is, like, this is going to cause problems because, number one, well, like, if this wasn't Shanks' intentions, Bartolomeo is a member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. If it turns out the worst comes to the worst, which I don't think it did, but just saying, like, that is not going to sit well with him at all. Even if it is Shanks. So that's going to be interesting if that news does get to him. And the Grand Fleet are really on thin ice anyway, because in the anime we got to see them literally take down Sharlos, that being Leo and Sai. Whether or not he's actually dead, we still don't know. Like, it's implied that he's dead, but you never know here. Sharlos has a way of reappearing like a cockroach. So is Bartolomeo dead? I don't think so, considering we get to see another popular character who we thought was dead, revealed to still be alive. Speaking of Yonko, we go to Hachinose, which we finally get to see Teach return. And Teach is pissed at Pizarro because, number one, he let Kobe escape, and he let Gekko Moria escape, which is interesting because we didn't get to see Moria escape, but now we know he did. Because obviously Perona let Kobe out. If it wasn't for her, Kobe would still be captured. That was Mori was name dropped, that he escaped. It kind of makes me wonder where he's going to end up. Even though they lost Kobe and they lost Gecko Moria, according to Kuzan, they were able to capture Garp. Now, it should have been obvious. I said it from the get-go. Until I see him dead, I don't believe it. And Kuzan pretty much pointed out, yeah, he's still alive. I did go in for the kill, but we managed to capture him. And he's in a bundle of chains, so he ain't going anywhere. So there's going to be a rescue operation for Garp, I'm sure. And Kuzan was like, I was going in for the kill. I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, sure you were. So there's definitely something going on here. So if Aokiji is a double agent here, then this kind of softens the blow because Garp ain't dead yet. Now, just how I said Law, until I see him dead, he wasn't dead. And sure enough, the same thing with Garp. And so we're two for two here. And I said the same thing about Kid. So we don't really know where he's at. But I'm going to go on a limb and say Kid's not dead either. But in this, we also see Teach grab a hold of Pudding. So obviously she's captured too. So then Teach tries to get into contact with Lafitte, who's at a Navy unit shipping HQ. And basically these are the ships that transport the food to the Bondolas, that rise up, that rise above the red line to transport food to the Celestial Dragons. Obviously that ain't happening anymore because they sabotaged the Bondolas. Lafitte is getting abused by this, but Teach is like, this ain't the time to sit back and watch. Get ready. So what is Teach having Lafitte do? And it's interesting too because Teach was asking about the revolutionaries, like, what are they up to? And this is where Lafitte tells him about what's going on with the Marines and how much of a crisis the Celestial Dragons are in right now. So get ready for what? Is Teach planning something against the revolutionaries because he's affiliated with the government? He's a Yonko too. So at this point, we see another ship arrive at Hachinose, and it's Devon and Van Oga along with Carabo. And this is where obviously we know where this is leading. So what this is going to lead to: the capture of 1 or 2 ancient weapons, possibly Shirahoshi at the most. We don't know what's going to happen on Wano. So I'm starting to think my hunch was right, and it's not going to be Teach versus Shanks yet. It may end up being Teach versus the revolutionaries, specifically Dragon, because why would Teach care about what the revolutionaries are doing? Why would Teach care about what the revolutionaries are doing? If anything, you would think that Teach would want to know about Shanks, what he's up to. He didn't ask a thing about Shanks. And the thing is, before Shanks took down Kid, he was asking about what Teach was up to. And felt for sure that he would show up on Wano. So we know how Shanks feels about Teach, but Teach isn't asking about Shanks at all. But he's asking about the revolutionaries. So take what you will. I'm going on a limb. They may cross paths at some point this year. That may be the clash that Oda was talking about. Otherwise, why would Teach care about what the revolutionaries are doing? If he wants to become Pirate King, why is he wasting time with the revolutionaries? Unless he's after the Maramara no Mi. That's the only other thing I could think of. But he's gonna have to go through Dragon as well, not just Sabo. And we cut back to an incident. And this is where we get the time frame. So it's been 2 days since they set off from Egghead Island on their way to Elbaf. They haven't reached Elbaf because, number one, the Sunny has gone missing. Obviously, you see a giant fish beside the ship. And it's interesting, before it cut away, you obviously saw the Sunny attached to the giant's ship, but here we don't see it at all. So apparently everybody's woken up after partying. And Oda made it a point to highlight the caption, they have yet to arrive at Elbaf. What could have caused this? So the sun is gone, Luffy's gone, and by the end of this chapter, Nami's also gone. But I find it interesting nobody's calling out for Nami. So it's also interesting too, you got Robin with a dark humor back at it again. She's like, I hope they weren't swallowed by a fish, which is funny because if you remember back during the beginning of Egghead Islands, when that first started, the Sunny was almost gobbled up by mechanical fish. We do see a fish here. I don't know if that has something to do with it. See Nami, and we see somebody calling out to Nami to wake up, but they're hidden in the darkness, whoever it is, and Nami wakes up in a completely different outfit in a completely different location. I gotta say, I love the outfit Nami has on. I don't know how she got in that. It kind of gives me the Beast Pirate outfit vibes from the raid on Onigashima that both Nami and Robin wore, just because of the feathers as well. But Nami has a sword here, so there's a couple of things going through my mind right now. Number one goes back to what I said at the beginning, where we have the giant talking about the alcohol, and he says, be careful because that can have caused you to have hallucinations. So that could be a possibility here of what Nami's seeing, because she does say, maybe I drank too much. I mean, that's some strong stuff that she was drinking. So the fact, if she managed to down that and wake it up, so props to Nami, but that could have some effect here. But that doesn't explain the outfit she's wearing. So that's a possibility. Now, the other possibility is the individual that we saw that was sitting on the rocks that saw the giant ship approaching along with the Sunny. It could be that person's doing, that could be a devil fruit, we don't know. But the thing that shoots to my mind is the outfit. If Nami didn't change herself, where did she get that outfit? Did she change before she disappeared? Nami's not the only person that's gone missing. Luffy and the Sunny have gone missing too. Did Nami just walk into a machine similar to Egghead Island and get a different outfit? I don't think so. So is it someone else's ability that changed her outfit? Or did somebody forcefully, and I hope this is not the case, and change her outfit while she was passed out? Because if that's the case, then that goes beyond just sus. Now, the most obvious answer to who was calling out to Nami was Luffy, because Luffy's missing too. So I'm just going to go on a limb here. It could be a case where both Nami and Luffy ended up elsewhere. So we don't know if Nami went back on the Sunny, because we saw her partying with the Straw Hats before it cut away. Is Luffy with her as well, trying to wake her up? We don't see Luffy here, but who else will be calling out to Nami? Who else knows Nami other than who's on that ship? So yeah, there's a lot of question marks here. Could this be the doing of the Prince of Elbaf, Loki? We know next to nothing about Loki. The last we heard from Big Mom, he was set to marry Lola. That didn't go well, and we know how that ended up. Like I said, the outfit Nami has, probably one of the best. Like I said, I did like the Beast Pirate outfit she and Robin wore, but this is definitely up there. I don't know if this is what the other Straw Hats are going to be wearing, considering that she also has a sword, so I don't know what's going on with that. And whatever role Oda has for Nami, I'm curious to see where it goes. And that was a chapter, and Oda decides to give us even more mystery and intrigue, despite what happens outside of Elbaf. Now we've got a bigger mystery going on, perhaps on Elbaf. Like, where the hell is Nami? Is Luffy there too? The one final thing I will say is the fact that both Nami and Luffy have gone missing. Obviously, we don't know where the Sunny's at either, but if they ended up in the same place, I could definitely foresee the Luffy-Nami shippers. Can you imagine? They'll go nuts over this until we actually get the actual answers of what's going on in the next chapter. But until then, there's a lot of context that needs to be filled in. That's going to do it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the review if you did, a thumbs up. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys' support. Subscribe to for more One Piece, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.